Let's get ready to rumble. Yes, Mr. Mo. Mr. Mo, we are back. We are back.
Yes. Yes.
What's
Um
up, everybody? Let me do my intro before we get. Last time you called yourself Future Pilot. That's one thing we need to argue about.
I
I
might be a
was
future
watching.
pilot. What do you mean?
Ah. All right, that's fine. As long as you didn't call yourself Future Pilot 901. Actually, you did call yourself Future Pilot 901, I think. So yeah, that's something we have to argue about. But yeah, what's up, people? Welcome to another episode of Day One Mentality, where we talk about the number one thing that can make or break your dream, your mentality. My name is D. I'm a pilot. His name is Mo. He's a steady athlete, a fitness coach. This is episode 24 of Day One Mentality. Mo, what's good, man? It's been a while. It's been a while.
It's been ages, and I don't know, but I'm here the 24th of August, 2024, and I feel like I'm having a live chat with someone from 2055. What are
Bro,
you having in the back of your? What is
bro,
that?
this is me doing self-care,
You
releasing
live
the
in
tension,
you live
releasing the
in
tension in the traps.
you live in 20 years ahead, bro. It's not
Bro,
fair.
it's necessary, man. It's necessary. Releasing the tension, relaxing. Um, yeah, and just making sure I'm of best health possible, best fitness possible, man. I have to say,
Amazing.
it works a treat. It works a treat, especially like if you build up tension in your
Hmm.
traps, which most people do. It's nice to kind of release it every now and then, unless you're going to go for a massage. But yeah, man,
Definitely.
life's good. Life's good. Life's good. The last few episodes covered by, well, first it was me and Ayla on
Hmm.
Abby. Then it was you and Max. So yeah, it was very good to see. Very good to see. Very good to step out for a second and watch you guys chop it up. I thought you guys talked about some really important, really interesting stuff last time.
Hmm. It
Yeah,
was it
man.
was was definitely really good. I told you before, like it was nice to be part of the audience
Yeah.
and actually experience like how it is and ask questions and get someone else to 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 share their information and everything. Really cool, really good experience, definitely.
Yeah, for sure, man. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to Casey. Shout out to Lord Z. Shout out to Jonas. Uh, or not, if you're going to be a donut. Thank you very much. Yeah. How's the week been, man? How's the week been the last few weeks? What's been keeping you busy? How's Activikids going? And let's chop it up today, man.
Activity Kids, really good, really good. I might, I'm. It's been really good. I had a few kids. I was able to film some content, um, so that was really nice. But I might save that for the future, um, the dream workshop.
Okay. Nice.
Hmm.
Nice. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, man. I've been super busy. Last few weeks I've had to travel to I kind of do well, I'm an associate member of the Honorable Company of Air Pilots. So I do help out quite a bit. I'm doing the filmmaking side. Um
Very cool.
this year and kind of supported with some of the scholars. So I went out to a gliding site where I met a few gliding scholars. Do you know what gliding is?
Um, Not sure. What is gliding?
So basically, it's kind of like an aircraft. Well, it is an aircraft. It's kind of like an airplane, but without any engine.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, like the Honorable Company of Air Pilots gives out a few scholarships every year. And one of the scholarships is the gliding scholarships. Actually, as few is probably not the way to describe it because this year there were like 46 gliding scholars. Um, and basically they get a week at this gliding place, right? And they get used to like how it works, working together, communication, kind of a taster into the aviation industry. And they also get to fly in this glider. And so there's like a couple of ways that they get it up. Either there's a winch, which is basically like a cable tied to it that pulls it really fast and then it goes up, or a plane, another plane kind of tugs it up into the air and then let go, and then you just glide and you try to find like thermals, which is basically hot rising air to keep you up so you can keep flying. So literally you're flying without an engine. So yeah, it was fun to watch that, and I actually had a go at one of them, and it was crazy. It was crazy. It was a crazy idea, because usually in a powered aircraft, if I don't have engines, that's like time for emergency checklist. It's like, all right, cool. Make sure my speed is right. Find somewhere to land, do my checks, make a radio call. Whereas this one, it's like there's no engine, and it's not an emergency. So there's like a part of it that in the brain, it's like, why am I not doing emergencies? So yeah, it was a little bit crazy, but really fun, really fun.
And I think there is a massive difference of the sound as well, right? Because in an aircraft, you obviously need to wear some headphones, but in the other one, it's just completely silent. No?
Yeah, I mean, it's not completely silent. It's more like a rather than like with the engine. That was a really bad engine sound, by the way. But yeah, it's a lot quieter. You don't need a headset. You can hear each other. It's really, it's a lot quieter. But yeah, really nice, really nice. Only thing is you can't like really carry luggage. You can't really like carry lots of people with you. The most you can take is one other person. So it's kind of more flying for fun, rather than like it being a very practical way to get about. But yeah, you do really refine your flying technique, your hand flying technique. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. So if there's people out there who are interested, particularly if you're young and wanting to get into aviation and have a taster of aviation, the gliding scholarship from the Honorable Company of Air Pilots is probably where you want to be starting. And to find out more about that, check out airpilots.org/scholarships. But yeah, man.
Amazing.
Yeah. So chopping it up a little bit, man. Slightly different question. I thought, like we do start, we have accountability time, where it's like, okay, one thing that you should have been doing this week that you haven't been doing, and yeah, it's important. And then we do dreams workshop. But I thought I'd ask you, like, looking back at your week, is there something you're proud of? Something to celebrate? Small, medium, large, doesn't matter. But just looking back at the week and balancing it out a little bit, what could you say? And if you're in the chat, shout out to you. If you're watching this afterwards, drop in the comments. Let's just share the love, share the insights. What is it looking back at the week that you're really grateful for, or celebrating?
So activities was really nice. I mean, we have been talking about activities and developing this idea that I had. Thanks to D, thanks to a lot of people that gave me great ideas in the chat. I got to give last week a really nice activity fullback camp, and I had, obviously, I enjoy being around children and like having fun, playing together, doing activities. But I could feel like all the parents were really happy as well. The children were excited to come back, and it was really nice. It was a really nice feeling, doing from an idea, developing it with people that gave me some support, ideas, etc. Then actually working it out, and at the end, it's not just rewarding for myself, but for other people as well. And that was really cool. It's a really nice feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's definitely one thing that I try to make people understand. Like, look around you. Everything that is around you now I've got a wardrobe, I've got a table, a bed, lights, microphone. All of these things were ideas
Hmm.
in somebody's head. And the same way how you have ideas in your head, and it's like life is all about, giving life to those ideas. And
Hmm.
there is an excitement that comes from doing that, which I think is what you're describing. It's just that excitement of having had something in your head and then seeing it in the real world and actually seeing it take form. And you learn a lot from that, you know? So yeah, it's a very exciting journey, man. Can't wait to see how it continues developing.
And
Question in the chat was, are you American? Let me answer it this way. All right, Gavna, I'm going to have a bottle of water. So you take a guess with that accent, whether, whether we're American or not.
hold on, Giza.
All right, geezer. All right, mate. Do you know what I mean?
And yeah, I wanted to say that y- you said that everything started from just an idea, and you have to put them into life and stuff. And I remember a podcast when someone said that, and was Elon Musk on the podcast,
Hmm.
and he was talking about a period in his life when when he had two kind of successful um, uh, companies, but he was not able to maintain them because some financial problems. And he, in order to keep it up, to he had to sell one of the companies. And he said that when you actually start a company from scratch, those companies are like your little babies, your
They are.
children that you're
Yep.
raising up. And
Yep.
I when I heard that the first time, it's like I couldn't understand that, but now I do have that feeling of like uh, it belongs to me a little bit. It's the way I have put my energy. I've developed this idea the way I want it. So it's like
Yeah.
it's part of how I want it to be. So
And you will have a story for each thing, you know? Like,
yeah,
how did you make the flyer? How did you think of the colors? How did you
yeah.
there will be a story behind each of those that you can relate to, that you're like, it has a depth of like coming from in, like it comes from the depths of you basically.
Hmm.
And so that's where you get that. And the other thing is, when you conceive an idea, usually it's in private, and it's hidden in your head, a little bit like how a baby might be hidden in a womb. And then you
Yeah,
push it out and you launch it into the real world. And yeah, and it's always good when you've got, midwives, when you've got uh kind of pediatricians there, which is your inner circle, your friends, your people who understand what's happening with you and are there to support you. And I think that's equally important. And if you don't have the right people around you, then your ideas are just going to get quashed and never really, well, you're going to miscarry your idea, for lack of a better way to put it. Speaking of ideas coming to life, over the last week, I have closed applications for the Future Pilot 901 scholarships. And
nice.
it's now the selection process, and I now have one, two, possibly three selection panel members. So yeah, a bit like you, it's an idea that I had to give out flying scholarships. And yeah, I'm just watching it grow and take shape. And I'm trying to do whatever I can to feed it like you feed a baby. That baby needed specific nutrients. In this case, the nutrients were like to get a selection panel. So I had to contact a few people who are in the aviation industry, who I respect and admire, and I'm grateful for, and I asked them to be part of the selection panel. And thankfully, they said yes. So yeah, they're looking over the applications now, potentially next week, or by latest the week after, I'll be letting people know if they're through to the next stage. So very exciting times, man. Very exciting times.
Very exciting. Yeah, yeah, definitely,
So I'd say, yeah,
definitely.
that's definitely one thing I'm proud of, making progress with that. Something I'm celebrating from the last week. But yeah, more to come. More to come. All right, down to next that we need to talk about: accountability time. This is a time when we get to answer the question, is there something that you know you should have been doing this week that you haven't been doing? It's your time to own up, take responsibility. And it's only when you take responsibility that you can really make a change. So, Mo, confession time.
I don't like this, but I know it's good. I'm not perfect, guys. I'm sorry, but I would say,
Ooh.
go a little bit further than what I initially had in mind.
Okay, tell me more.
Like, before Activity, I had this idea of like, I'm gonna film every single session that I have, and I'm gonna film with a drone that I have in my house, to make the best content as possible. And I end up filming the sessions and taking pictures and everything, but not the way I had thought. And pure because I had to deal with a lot of other things just by myself. But
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I know I need in order to sell Activity Kits in the future. So yeah.
Brilliant. And where I'll challenge you is, most of the times when we plan something, our plans are flawed. And this is a concept I think you can take anywhere. And I learned this from a psychologist. Most of the time when you plan something, you're wrong. What do I mean by that? I mean, potentially you imagined yourself being able to run Activity Kids, do the activities and do the photography and do that. And the truth is, maybe it might change in the future, but the truth is right now, you've not been able to do that, which means then the plan potentially needs to change. Not that, you're not trying, but obviously only you know the truth with that. But it could be a case where you underestimated how much energy and focus it would take to do one task and to balance those tasks. And so, like you said, having that, accountability then gives you an opportunity to review and maybe re-strategize how you might do that, But yeah, man, I think that's something we all go through. So yeah, appreciate your honesty. Now, for my side,
what is something you should have been doing that you haven't been doing, Mr. Future Pilot?
So I was listening to Andrew Huberman. I've mentioned him to you before. He's a scientist of some sort to do with brain and stuff like that. He's got a really cool podcast, and his whole idea is to make kind of scientific insights available to everybody for free, so that they can improve their lives, so that they can better them. So yeah, if you can, check out Andrew Huberman podcast. And one of the things that he talked about is like, how do you get yourself to do something? And he just mentioned one of the ideas. Funny enough, he actually said, don't tell people your goals, because sometimes that can take away your energy, which I partially think is true, partially I disagree with, but who am I to disagree with him anyway? It's not like I've got a doctorate or anything. But another thing that he mentioned, I thought, oh, I'll have a go, is making the other idea that he said is raise the stakes. So for example, his thing is, phone can be distraction. So what he will do is he will give his phone to one of his staff members and say, if I ask you for that phone, I have to give every one of you $1,000. If I ask for that phone before 5 p.m., then I have to give every one of you $1,000. So in that way, he raises the stakes, which then increases the likelihood of him doing what he said he was going to do. But another idea that he mentioned was having a contract with yourself. Apparently, that's a really good way to get yourself to do things. So I kind of created a little contract with myself.
Nice.
And if I complete it, then I sign it for the day. There's a few things on there. Some of which I did.
Things?
Good question. Exercising. Currently, reviewing my goals, sleeping, protecting my sleep, which is something I'm not very good at. Like, so I'm trying to protect my sleep a little bit more, so I can maintain the energy and the focus. And then a couple of goals on like preparing for pilot aptitude tests and numerical reasoning. Yeah, because I find like, especially with numerical reasoning, when you're trying to get into like the airlines, like that will come up. And I'm not too bad at it. It's just I move quite slowly because it's been a while since I've like really done them, like on a regular basis. So I'm trying to make that part of my daily routine. And also that's what they advise. Make it part of your daily routine. So I've missed a couple of days of numerical reasoning, Thursday, Friday. And yeah, so that's something I need to make sure I'm doing that I haven't been doing this week. But I thought I'd share that contract idea, just in case somebody else wants to apply. It's a very interesting way to also track where you're at.
Good one, definitely. I mean, we all need to find things and ways that might help us, so I think that's a great idea if it helps you.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. The mind plays tricks on us. The mind plays tricks on us. Speaking of which, shout out to Kai. Welcome to the chat. Fresh shave. Who's got a fresh shave? Mine's not a fresh shave. Mine's although it's I had a bit of a trim. Is it Mo? Mo, have you got a fresh shave?
I do. I do look like
Hey!
an 18-year-old boy, bro.
You look like you should be on the Gillette advert, showing
Yeah.
your chin.
I could honestly.
Oh, you're
I'm
talking
wasting
about
my
the
time.
top half, yeah? Top part. Yeah, I did put a little bit of oil just to make it shine a little bit more. I think if you're going to do something, you need to do it properly. So when I started shaving my head, well, I kind of trim it really low. But because if I kind of do it too low, I actually get like a rash. I get a rash. So I can't do it too low and like actually shave. So I just trim it really low. But yeah, especially when I first started doing it, I thought, just go full out, man. Like get it off, get it shiny, Like if you're gonna do it, why do it half? Like just get that hair off, get it shiny. So yeah, I did put a little bit of
All
oil.
of it.
Thanks for noticing, man. Mo's been on this. We've been on the podcast for 22 minutes now. He's not said anything. So yeah.
It just looks,
You take me
it
for
suits you very
granted.
well,
That's your problem. You take me for granted. You're not noticing the little things I'm doing.
Listen, I saved my beer especially for you as well. You didn't say anything.
Nice. It's all right. I just don't want to give you too much compliments so that you will leave me. Bro. Speaking of funny stories, mate. Last week I was running. Before we get into Dreams Workshops, last week, so I've started exercising a little bit more and like going on runs. And talking about playing tricks on your mind, I was like, oh man, feel really heavy, feel really tired. I did a run yesterday. This was on Sunday, so I did a run on Saturday as well. So running, I was like, oh man, all right, just keep going. And I see this couple. So I was running down like one stretch, which is like next to Heathrow. Anyway, it's a stretch all the way down. And I was running one direction and there was a couple running the other way. And I saw them like, good morning. And then as soon as I passed them, I had that thing like, damn, I need to catch them. So I started going, yeah, let's go. So I got all the way to the end of the road and then I started coming back and I was actually supposed to stop, right? I was supposed to stop once I like run back and then run to about the middle. But they were still going down like their road. And I was like, I'm not going to let them beat me. Go. Started running, kept running, started catching up to them, catching up until I passed them. I was like, hello again. Hello. Oh, we're 1,000 years old. I was like, I don't care. Thanks for the pacemaking. Bye. Kept on going. So I say that to say, like, sometimes, hey, you need to get yourself to perform any way you can. And sometimes injecting a little bit of competition is exactly what you need to get you to push yourself beyond
Hmm.
where you were gonna stop, you know? Because success results don't really care about your feelings, they care about your execution. And the question is, did you execute or not? If you executed, well, you got the result. If you didn't execute, you don't get the result. So yeah, thought I'd share that.
I wonder if that couple was running harder because they were getting scared. This guy is following us.
They didn't see me coming, and that's what made it even better. It's like they don't know I'm coming. I'm coming for you. Um, but yeah, sometimes we need to get like that about our goals, and we need to kind of put targets on people, um, but not in a way where we get overly obsessed over them, but where
Hmm.
we activate ourselves, you know. And sometimes that's why we're not really chasing after something, because we're not competing, you know.
Hmm.
So maybe it's time to compete. With that said, let's talk about dreams workshops. All right, this is a chance for us to set out a goal, and if you're in a chat, check it out if you like. Maybe don't share your strategy, but share your goal. Right? Tell me one thing you want to achieve, and then it's going to be time for you to be on the hot seat. I'm going to ask you some questions, and it's all about clarifying it, making it more significant, or getting you to dream even bigger. Right? So, Mr. Mo, what would you like to put forward today for Dreams Workshop?
Um, ooh, you get that ready. You get that ready.
I'll let you think about that
The
while I read Kai Roberts'
Yeah.
comment. It's funny from a business point of view, the execution is reducing in value to a degree, but the distribution is becoming more and more pivotal to the success of a business. Distribution, interesting. I guess it depends on how you define those terms, right? Depends on how you define those terms. Because I could say to some degree, you have to execute the distribution. So I guess it depends on how, but I can see what you're saying. I can definitely see. If I'm not getting you wrong, it could be the case, for example, where sometimes it's not necessarily even the best product that wins. Sometimes it's just the one that's more widely distributed or better marketed. If I'm not getting you wrong, Mo, I've given you enough time. What's your goal?
My goal is
Let's go.
Activity Kids as an after school club. I'm putting that.
Okay, Activity Kids as an after school club.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Quick catch. Your time, well, my time to grill you starts now. Oh, let me turn that off. Oh, can I change it? Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Okay, time starts now. Okay, when do you hope to start that?
From the next term, so not the one starting now, but the one after.
How much work do you expect it to take?
How much work? If I get one school that I'm
Mhm.
able to provide after school club, I will be it will be a good start, I believe.
How much work do you think it will take to get one school?
It would take me a lot of calls, a lot of emails, and actually trying to get meetings with people at the school, I believe.
And what's the most effective way that you can get a meeting with somebody in the school?
Um, Going via a friend or someone that knows someone at the
Mhm,
school.
mhm.
But one of the main things is I want to use the content that I filmed at football camp as a
Have you
selling.
thought? Mhm.
Yeah.
Have you thought about maybe if you're talking about using somebody that has a contact? Have you thought about using the parents of the people who attended Active Kids?
Yeah, I thought about that. Like a way to get into a school.
Are you going to do it?
Yeah, definitely, 100%, 100%. I feel like is
Nice.
is 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 the next step.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, schools can be tough to get into, but you have to keep pushing. You have to keep trying. You can, yeah, and try different ways for sure. Like if it doesn't work this way, try another way. And sometimes it's about you showing up.
Yeah,
Because
and basically,
one issue that, for example, I face in trying to expand into schools as well is, or even being part of like a local authority, there is a lot of awareness of like links and having like viruses being sent through links, right?
okay.
So you can send a video and you're like, yeah, I'll send them a video, they'll see how cool it is, and yeah, then they'll get your link and they'll be like, who's this? I don't know who it is. It might be a virus, delete,
Hmm. Yeah,
right? Or it might never get into their inbox. So that's something just to be aware of. A challenge that sometimes comes up, and it's definitely something to think around. Coolio. All right, man. Well,
your
it's my
turn,
turn
G.
to do dreams workshop. So ask me the question.
So, G, I would love to hear a goal that you have in mind that you would like to achieve. In this way, I'm gonna challenge you. I'm gonna ask you questions for 90 seconds and see
Yeah,
how well you have it. How fresh is it in your head?
fair enough.
Are you looking at your thousands of
I
goals
am,
that you
I
have?
am, I am looking at all my post-it. Wait, I might show you. Have I ever shown you my
Go on.
post-its on the wall?
Not
No.
sure.
I'm trying not to show you all the mess.
They're not that many.
Hey, relax, man. Yeah. So yeah, I have got quite a few of them. All right. Well, today I am going to select the goal to get an airline. On an airline. Why not? Let's go crazy. Why not? Let's go crazy. Yeah. How about that? How about that? How you like me now? Huh? How is that for being unrealistic? Huh?
An airline, a future pilot airline.
Correct. How about that?
Okay,
How do you feel now?
I'm ready. Let's go.
1 minute, 30 seconds. Starts. No. What? Yeah, let's go.
So, what has changed since the last time you shared this amazing goal? D?
Nothing. Nothing at all. Other than hopefully I have progressed and I'm a little bit closer towards being an airline pilot myself, which
Mhm.
I'm still a long way from. But I think since the last time we discussed this, I attended a very, very informative um, kind of day at British Airways where I got to try out the simulator for the Airbus A320. And we had these talks from, some of the training captains and training first officers. And it gave me a bit more of an understanding, a bit more of a taste. So I'm still a long, long way away, but little baby steps forward.
Mhm. And in in terms of how you visualize the airline, is there any change?
No, not as yet. Not as yet. Not as yet.
What would differentiate your airline from other ones, or be different?
Well, first of all, I think it's about the core kind of values that's built into the airline, And I think, as I mentioned before, having been born in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and seeing as we don't have a reputable airline, it would be good to have something that is reputable and then to grow from there. And I think that's down to the values that are upheld. One of the values being integrity, excellent customer service. You know,
And have you?
but I am keeping track. You know, because aviation world is so small. And I'm meeting more and more events I attend. I'm meeting more and more people, and I meet somebody. They're like, "Oh, I'm studying aerospace engineering. Oh, I'm studying, you know, um, aviation management." I'm like, "Oh, okay, okay. I know who to come to. All right,
Yeah.
exactly. I write down your name in a book somewhere, and when the time comes, I'm going to go to these people. So I've got 2 names so far. Go to these people and be like, all right, tell me more about this. How do you do this? You know, and yeah. So it's all about building those contacts and having those insiders who can, well, who are more knowledgeable in an area that I'm totally not, and hopefully they can help me. So that's the idea.
Have you looked at how to start an airline? Like, how would someone start an airline?
Although no, I haven't. Although I am aware of Richard Branson's how he started his Virgin airline. Do you
Hmm.
know that story?
No.
Okay, I'm definitely going to butcher it. So, like, don't take my word for it. Anybody, go and watch it for yourself or read it for yourself. But it goes something like this. He was supposed to go on this flight, and for some reason, he couldn't go on this flight. Either they overbooked, or they cancelled it for some reason, or they had an issue with staffing, or whatever. Anyways, he was just like trying to go over to see his like romantic partner, yeah, something like that. And he was obviously, there's a few things that motivate a man like a romantic partner, so he was prepared to spend whatever he needed to spend to get there. And so he started asking, is there a plane I can rent? And he found a plane, rented that plane, and then he just held up a sign to all those people who also couldn't go on that flight. And that flight was to the Virgin Islands. And he said, look, I've got a plane, like, who wants to come with me, basically? And people then signed up, and that became Virgin Airlines.
Crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So that's how he did it. He was frustrated that he couldn't get this service. And he just went to rent a plane and then asked people who were also in the same position whether they wanted to
Hmm.
jump in his plane. And that's how he kicked off. So there you go.
Crazy. Very interesting. Well.
Yeah, yeah, interesting story. But like I said, I know I've butchered parts of that. So make sure you check out that story for yourself. But yeah, man, that brings us to today's main topic, bro.
Mhm.
What did you want to talk about? What did you want to talk about?
So we're gonna be talking about the constant change in life and how to embrace changes. And there is a thing like if we not like life in general, the world is in constant change, like non-stop, non-stop. And if we're not getting along with it, you won't improve. If you maintaining the same skills now that you have right now over the next 5 years, it means you're not becoming better. You're lacking. So just by maintaining the skills and the knowledge that you have, it means that you will be lacking in the next months, the next years, whatever.
And I think the easiest way to think about that is if nothing else, you are older, right? If you stay on the same level next year, into next year, even though it looks like nothing has changed, you're 1 year older, which maybe means you have 1 year less to live, which means you're closer to, you obviously, for example, your energy, your strength, it's on a curve, right? It goes up, it goes up, it goes up, and then at some point it starts coming down, right? And so this is why we say young people have so much potential, right? Because they're at the beginning of that, right? And so they've got more to go, but the older you get, the more you need to realize your potential, right? Otherwise you get older. There's a psychologist who talks about, for example, if you're in a job that you don't like, that doesn't fulfill you, and you think, oh, it's fine, like I'm just gonna stay and like try, struggle through it. The thing is, if you're not happy now, in 5 years you still won't be happy, and the problem is you'll be older, which, as you get older and older, reduces your options. So time is not to be wasted, and you're not in a better position by trying to hold on to what you have. You're in a better position by trying to develop and grow. And which brings me to a quote that I'm going to use to segue what you're probably going to say next. Is there's a John C. Maxwell quote. John C. Maxwell speaks on leadership. He's probably known most for speaking on leadership, and he's got leadership books. And he's got this quote, or this law: growth equals change. Right? Because if you're going to grow, then you have to change. Not all change is growth, but growth has to mean change.
Definitely. I completely agree. And you talk about getting older, right? And from a childhood, we're gonna change anyway. We're gonna change mentally, physically, emotionally. And the identity, so the same identity that I have now, for example, is not the same that I had 20 years ago. And emotionally, physically, I'm completely different. The goals that I had 5 years ago are slightly different. The way I was learning were completely different. So it's a way of like, we never 100% the same person. Never, ever. Never. Listen.
I'm
We
listening.
are never the same person. And since, for example, now, since
I have a counter argument, but go on.
Yeah, I love that. Since we started this life, we have shared so many things. I've shared with you. The people have shared their thoughts as well, which made me maybe change my mind in a certain way. I've learned things. I'm able to see things differently. A topic maybe, which made me slightly different. Now I'm different than 43 minutes ago, I believe. Please go on with your counter argument.
So I listened to this thing, and I don't think we fundamentally disagree, but we just might explain it in slightly different ways. But I listened to this guy, this guru, who said something that is kind of echoed along, across many religions and many belief systems. You have a mind. You have a body. You have a brain. You have ideas. So that means the reason why we say you have it is because you're not it. You're not your mind. You're not your body. You're not your brain. You're not your ideas. You possess them. So you are not the body or the mind or the brain. You're that which is above, possessing that, right? You are aware of the changes happening in the body, the mind, the emotions, right? Or another way to put it is, in life, you go through the transformation, and there's what goes through the transformation, but there's also what witnesses the transformation. And the argument is that you are that which witnesses the transformation. That's the you, the essence of you. Whilst your body goes through changes, your mind goes through changes, you're that which witnesses the transformation.
Interesting. So you're basically seeing yourself from a different angle, developing through.
Correct.
Okay. That's, yeah. I mean, that could be a different way of seeing it. But something that I wanted to say is, so since we change, our habit changes, our mentality, our ideas could change through the life, and it is. I find it important to understand that the way I talk and the way I develop my ideas is not the same as the way I used to do it, because of the experience that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, we that work with children, for example, with kids, with young adults, we don't express an idea to them the same way that I talk to you, for example. With a kid, will be like, amazing what you have done, well done, you're so capable, this, that. With you, for example, we say, well done, bro, well done, I'm impressed. But I know you could do a little bit better, for example, the energy that you put into the conversation is different. The way you express your emotions are different, me with you, than me with a 5-year-old. So the way you talk to yourself is a lot different as well, through the ideas that you have, through the thoughts that go through your mind, in a way of like, maybe when I was a teenager, I used to be more negative to the way I was talking to myself. But now I realize that being too negative through my thoughts or the actions that I have right now is not very much helpful. So that has changed as well.
Here's a quote for you. To have what you've never had, you must become, or to have what you never had, you must do what you've never done.
Mm-hmm.
To do what you've never done, you must become what you've never been. But there's an argument, right? Because, like quite a few episodes ago, we talked about how everything that you are to become is already in you, in the same way that a tree is inside of a seed, right? And so there is change, but it's not change like in an external way. It's a change to reveal that which is already inside. And this is why when we say somebody has potential, what we mean is the potential is like buried inside of them. We don't mean that they have the potential to pick it up from external places. We're saying that the potential is in them. And it's about them gradually expressing that potential outwards from the inside out, right? And I think this is where we, especially, when we set goals, when we talk about achieving our dreams, I think I felt this a few months ago, actually. I think you pointing out self-talk is very important. Just to mention back to this study, people who were told that when you're a bit stressed, your performance will improve because stress is good for your performance, perform better. people who were told your stress really like messes with your performance. Like, try and avoid stress, because if you have any stresses, that really brings your performance down. That brought their performance down, right? And the idea there, I think, is it affected their self-talk, right? Because once they're in that situation, they're like, oh man, I'm stressed. That means I'm not gonna perform too good, right? Whereas other people are like, oh, I'm stressed. Okay, all right, so I should be able to perform quite well. Yeah, I'm stressed, but I should be able to perform quite well. And that same self-talk then has an impact on their behavior, which has an impact on their results. The thing is, sometimes we can try to, and the reason why sometimes I've noticed in myself, why I might not achieve a certain goal is because um, the self-talk is the goal that I've set is beyond the ability of the self. That, how can I put it? The goal I've set is outside of the bubble that my self-talk allows. So my self-talk can be a limiting factor. I'll give you just a basic example. I have a goal to become a pilot. I've talked about this story many times, but it's a good example. I have a goal to become a pilot. All right. But then my self-talk was, I can't afford it. It's expensive. I need lots and lots of money to be able to start. That's the self-talk. So my goal is here, but my self-talk is here. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the only time I was able to actually make progress to now be able to have a private pilot's license is when I had to raise my self-talk to say, it doesn't matter if I don't have the means, I can still achieve it somehow. So your self-talk can be a very powerful limiting, it can be a limiting power, or it can be an enabling power, right? And the thing is, the point I want to make with this is sometimes we don't let go of our self-talk because we've had that self-talk for a long time. And we kind of don't want it to change. Or we kind of think like, going back to what I was going to tell you about what happened to me a few months ago. So I'm working on my uni assignments, right? I'm preparing for a new job. I'm working in a stressful job. I'm doing all this. My brain is going, you should not be able to do this much. Human beings are not supposed to handle this much pressure. You should not do this. Like, this is crazy. What are you doing? Why are you only sleeping that amount of hours? And then like, my self-talk is like crazy, running crazy in my head, right? And I had to just say to myself, like, no, let go of those ideas. Let go of how you think you function. Because, oh yeah, I'm not a morning person. What the hell do you mean you're not a morning person? Like, if you're like, that's your self-talk. I'm not a morning person. And that's fine if it's like things that are not important. But if you're talking about the fact that you're trying to do something that, for example, for me, like becoming a pilot, developing in aviation means everything to me. You would have to kill me before you stop me. Like, that's the level of committed I am. Like, you would have to actually kill me for me to stop progressing, right? And to think that if I'm committed to my big dream, oh, what? I'm not a morning person, so, I can't do it. Like, what? So I think sometimes we have to challenge our self-talk, right? And I think that's what happens when we listen to other people's stories. When you watch somebody who doesn't have arms get a pilot's license, fly a plane with no arms, it makes you think, wait, I was telling myself that I can't become a pilot for this, like, smaller reasons, but they have bigger reasons than me and they still made it. And sometimes it can be great way to expose ourselves to other people's stories to actually realize that we have limiting self-talk.
Um, yeah, really interesting. Talking about limited self-talk, I wanted to share this thing that
Limiting self-talk.
limiting self-talk. Thank you. I wanted to share this thing that I remember this day that I went to my mom and I said, "Mom, I don't know why, but since a few months back, there is a voice inside my head telling me or avoiding me to do certain things." And I don't know, I was 15 years old or something. And that was a completely new experience for me because before that, I do not remember or I didn't have like a memory inside my head of like me having a voice inside my head. And it was a completely new feeling for me. And
Interesting.
yeah, I swear, I swear.
So you
And
you discovered your self-talk.
yeah,
You're like, wait, what is this voice? Wait, what? Oh, wait. Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah, because
That's the
I've
conversation you have with yourself in your head. Okay, that's self-talk. Okay, interesting.
and nobody ever told me about it. Like, come on.
Right.
And it was funny because for a lot of people have this voice inside their head since day one or since very young. But for me, it came quite late. I was just
Interesting.
doing the yeah. I had a lot of energy. I was doing things because I had no much shame in not. I had a lot of energy in general, and and at some point there was a voice inside my head saying like, "Oh, be careful! Don't do that. People might laugh at you," or "Be careful! Safe! Don't do that to yourself. It might be dangerous." Or
Interesting.
yeah, and that's the concept that I wanted to say. Like when I was younger, I didn't even had a voice inside my head, and now there is
Interesting.
there is a void inside my head that is telling me that is kinder than when I was 16, but that is actually for me to help me develop and not avoiding me doing things.
Mm, mm. I
And
love that. I love that. That's really interesting. Reminds me, shout out to Veronica. Reminds me of there's a lecture, right, by Jordan Peterson on Pinocchio. And in that lecture, it talks about um, the story of Pinocchio and how I think not Geppetto. Geppetto is the guy who made him. Um, Jiminy Cricket, who's kind of like plays the idea of the conscience, right? Of Pinocchio, kind of telling him, no, don't do this. Like that voice plays that
mhm,
part of that voice, like don't do this. That's not the right thing to do. Da. But then, funny enough, one of the things that he points out is that interestingly, there's times when you'd think that voice is always right,
mm,
but there was times when Jiminy Cricket was not right, and there's then a conflict. And there's times when actually Pinocchio had to go beyond in order to update, right? And so I say that to say that it's very interesting that we become aware of this voice and that's inside of us that kind of tells us, oh yeah, like be careful of this, or you can do this or you can't do this. Um, and to some degree we can think it's right all the time, and maybe it's right most of the time, but for example, like you said, it can have a limiting impact sometimes where it can tell you, oh no, I can't do that, like that's not possible, right? And there's actually times when we have to go against that voice
mhm,
if we're going to make progress, so yeah, it's an interesting concept. And I think having been through I laugh now when people say to me like, "Oh yeah, I want to do this, but I don't have the money." So I can't make it. I I don't really laugh in a ha ha ha, but it's in my head. I just go, "Ah, yeah," because I've been through that now. I've realized it's a lie. I realize it's a self talk that you have with yourself. That's not true, right? And sometimes that's influenced by external people, because this is what people usually say. And to some degree, we internalize what we hear from the outside, right? And it's part of how we are socialized, right? Because you take the social rules that's happening outside, you bring it in, and that's why you're able to operate in a social environment, right? But there's positives and negatives to it. And so for me, it's like, I feel like I want to shake people when I hear that negative self-talk of like, oh, I can't afford it. I'm like, oh, I wish I could make you see that the self-talk you have in this case is not as real. Like, it's only as real as you make it. It's only as real as you make it. And sometimes you just have to switch off your brain. So I'm not even going to think of any voice, whatever voice, switch off. Let's just go. Right? Because if you allow a voice, it's going to limit you. And I think, this is why, I love what you were talking about in terms of change. And this is one of the probably the toughest changes to embrace, the change to your self-talk is so necessary. And as soon as you embrace changing your self-talk for a better self-talk, everyone's like, wow, like I can see something about you is different. Like something about you, it's just, you've got this glow, you've got this energy. Wow, you seem so passionate, you seem so committed, yeah, because the self-talk has changed. And so, for me, an important thing to remind myself, and I'll finish with this, and something I try to remind the people that are close to me, is you are not your self-talk, and you're not your ideas, and you can embrace a different self-talk and improve your results. And if you don't embrace a different self-talk, you will keep on having the same results. If you don't update your self-talk, you will not upgrade your results. If you don't upgrade your self-talk, you will not upgrade your results. Because your self-talk, and this is why Jim Rohn says, your success will never be far beyond your personal development. If you happen to have this success here and your personal development is here, at some point it will go back down. It's like a person who doesn't have knowledge, awareness, practice of managing money, and they win the lottery. Usually after a while, they're like in serious debt because they never developed internally. And it's a change that we have to embrace if we want to grow. It's a change that I know I have to embrace. And so I feel like I'm challenging myself all the time to say, okay, I don't think it's possible, but is that true? Or am I just limiting myself? I've got this idea, but is it true? Or am I just limiting myself?
Very good. And yeah, we talk about inner talk a little bit as a way of changing. And that's something next week we're gonna go a little bit deeper into it. The inner dialogue, the inner talk that you have with yourself. I'm sure you can have a lot of advice over there. But in general, is the way of like in life in general. Sometimes we have to set old habits and and things that we used to do to keep developing and to create maybe a new identity, or maybe to develop your identity. And when sometimes we hear things like, you're not the same, D. What happened to you, bro? We used to hang out so much, and I miss that D a little bit. Like it's a wrong thing. But in a way of like, we need to set habits and things that we used to do because we realized it wasn't helpful to the goal that we had. And that's a way of growing. That's a way of growing that, of course, involves talking to yourself.
Yeah, and what I'd like to invite myself to do, and invite other people to do is, all right, cool. You think your self talk is the one? Yeah, you think you're right? Cool. What results did it give you? And are you happy with those results? That's it. Oh yeah, I think for me to like, I know somebody who wanted to read the whole Adobe Premiere Pro book before posting any of the videos because he wanted to make sure he's got editing right. I'm like, okay, cool, you do that, bro. But I'm gonna post my videos as bad as they are. I'm gonna post them and I'm gonna learn as I go. And the honest answer is fine. Like, cool. To keep your self talk, I need to do this before I can do that. All right, keep it. The question is, has it given you the results you want?
Yeah.
Has it given you the results you want? That's the question. I need to do this before I start a podcast. All right, cool. Yeah, fine. I need to have all these ducks in a row. Yeah, I need to have it. Okay, cool. Yeah, fine. Yeah, do that. Has it given you the results you want? And if it hasn't, tweak it and change it. And like I said at the beginning, when you set out to accomplish any goal and you make a plan, your plan is wrong. Like, it's just obvious. Like, your plan is wrong, but just because you have an imperfect plan doesn't mean you shouldn't go after it. Go after it. But along the way, you get smarter, you get more skilled, you get better, and you refine your plan so that it's actually a better plan as you go. So it almost doesn't matter how you start. What matters is how you go on, how you update the systems as you go. So yeah, no, this is why I love the conversation. I think, and I look forward to having a deeper discussion on inner dialogue, and maybe some of the tricks that we can use to overcome and update that inner dialogue. I think that would be very interesting to me. How do you overcome a limiting inner dialogue? How do you develop that? How do you change in a way that is necessary to achieve your goal? I think that to me is very, very interesting. So I look forward to another discussion on that. Thank you to everyone who's passed by. Thank you to everyone who's watching this on the replay. Replay. I don't know why I did that. It's because it's a Saturday and I'm feeling good. And shout out to Mr. Mo. Great to see you again. It's been a few weeks. Shout out to Max. Shout out to Aileron Abbey for covering and standing in or sitting in for the last couple of podcasts. News updates. One on the Future Pilot 901 scholarships. We're into the selection process, which I'm very excited about. News on thank you. News on another side is I'm planning to do a French episode with Max. So that should be cool. Et je vais essayer un peu de pratiquer mon français. Et je vais essayer de parler, dire mon histoire en français. Donc, ça va être vraiment formidable. Yeah, I just talked nonsense just then.
So
I'm just joking. So yeah, I'm looking forward to actually pushing myself. I know I'm gonna make mistakes in French, but yeah, I'm looking forward to actually challenging myself to having a spontaneous dialogue in French and retelling my story. So that should be fun, and hopefully will give us people viewing from France in French, and all around the French speaking world. Hopefully more people tune in to Future Pilot 901. That'll be fun. But yeah, man, always a pleasure. Any final thoughts?
Not much. The constant change in life, so important. So thank you very much for all your ideas and everything that you have shared. Always a pleasure.
Change is Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Change is inevitable. Yeah, and there are those people who watch things happen, watch change happen, or there are those people who make change happen. And we, ladies and gentlemen, are people who make change happen. I'm going to be off to watch Manchester United now. I think second half is probably just started. Oh, actually, 15 minutes in. No, it's just gone half time. 12:30 kickoff. Right, so I'm going to catch second half of Man United because the Premier League season is back. So that should be good fun. And then tomorrow, Formula One
Formula One.
is
Ah,
back. Yeah, it's been on a 2-week break, so I'm excited about Formula One getting back. And I'm fairly chilling tomorrow, so I have some time to watch it, which is really cool. Any plan for the rest of the day?
no much, no much. I'm gonna be very much chilling, exercise, chilling. That's all.
Yeah,
That's the
love
Saturday
it,
I
man.
need.
That's it. That's it. Recover and go again. All right, people. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, this is the Day One Mentality podcast where we talk about the number one thing that has the ability to make or break your dream, your mentality. Until next time, this is Future Pilot 901, aka D Limbaya, reminding you to live your dreams.
And steady athlete. I was gonna say future pilot again. And steady athletes.
I know he wants to be
Reminding
me.
you to enjoy the process.
All right,
D,
man.
thank you again.
Always a pleasure, my guy. Peace.